Hey everybody, and welcome to the WRESTLEDUDE YouTube channel, as we have a bit of a bonus Talking Takeover video. Normally, these Talking Takeover videos are basically just me reviewing the NXT TakeOver shows. However, there's been some pretty big news concerning NXT recently that I kind of wanted to talk about, and I figured this would be the best format to do it. We have three big pieces of news, technically four, because one of them is a two-parter, a little bit of a tease there for you. But yeah, one thing that we're going to talk about is something to do with TakeOver, so let's just get right into it. But before we do, make sure you leave a thumbs up and a comment down below, leaving me your thoughts on all the stuff that we talk about here after we're done talking about all of it. So the first piece of news that I want to get into here, to justify the title for Talking Takeover, is we're going to talk about what's going to be the next takeover for NXT. And it was announced on the NXT episode that was literally just a few seconds ago, and they have announced that the next NXT TakeOver name is going to be NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver. It's a weird title. I actually had to look up the meaning of the phrase stand and deliver, and stand and deliver on Google means to give up something to someone who demands it. Originally used by highway robbers asking for passengers' valuables, and when the tax agent says stand and deliver, you have to be prepared to pay what is demanded. So if you look into the meaning, it does make sense in terms of a takeover event. It's also pirate themed, so I would assume that would also apply to like pirates, stand and deliver, take what you want, There's going to be championship matches, obviously. The thing about this takeover is it's not going to be on a Saturday, because this year WrestleMania is going to be Saturday and Sunday. It's a two-night WrestleMania, and this is going to be a two-night NXT takeover. So the way that they're going to do this is Night 1 is going to be Wednesday, April 7th, live on the USA Network. So you're getting a free day of NXT TakeOver just on Wednesday on USA. And then Night 2 is going to be Thursday, April 8th, live at 8/7 Central on Peacock, which is the new app that basically bought out the WWE Network. WWE Network is going to be implemented onto Peacock, so all of the content is going to be on there. Yeah, this seems pretty interesting. Seems pretty cool. It seems like there's going to be a lot more like awesome matches added on to this. And even from tonight's episode of NXT, which I actually haven't even watched, but just scrolling through Twitter real quick, I kind of got a gist of some of the stuff that happened that we'll get into here in a minute. But some big matches have already been set up for the show, or seemingly leading into this show. So yeah, we got a two-night takeover, and we got a two-night WrestleMania. WWE this year are just going all out on the two-night stuff. And then we have two Hall of Fame inductions. We're going to have the 2020 class that obviously got canceled last year, and then we have the 2021 class, which right now all we know is Molly Holly, or Mighty Molly, is going to be in the Hall of Fame, so that's awesome. So yeah, WWE is just doubling up on all the stuff this year, come around WrestleMania season. But yeah, I'm very excited for this. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of title matches, and there probably is going to be another added title match, because on this week's episode of NXT, actually we should go back to last week's episode of NXT. So it was a women's tag team matchup. It was Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez versus Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. The ending to the match saw Raw General Manager Adam Pearce run down and basically cause a screwy finish. Then after that, we get a backstage thing between he and William Regal talking. And then all of a sudden, there's like this tweet or message put out by WWE. William Regal is going to make this big announcement on NXT this week. And there were rumors about it maybe like a couple of weeks ago, and then it really got ramped up after the screwy finish. And it was confirmed on this episode that there are now NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. They got unveiled between Regal, Dakota Kai, and Raquel Gonzalez. Controversial opinion? I think this is very stupid. I think this is very dumb. But, much like Tony Storm, there is a big but at the end of that sentence. Come on, you gotta give me a like. Please leave a like on the video just for that joke alone. But I want to explain why I don't think this is really smart or really cool or anything like that. The titles look cool, obviously. Like, it's just the men's tag team titles, but with a white strap, and it says women's on it. I do like the white strap designs. I do think they're some of the best ones in WWE. Obviously, I have the white strapped Intercontinental title hanging up right there because I love it. Yeah, they look fine. It's just the whole reasoning behind making them, like, the whole point of the women's tag team titles in WWE was that they were able to float from all the brands. They could go to SmackDown, they could go to Raw, they could go to NXT, they could go to NXT UK. Obviously, they can't go to NXT UK, but NXT is right there, and Triple H always talks about how NXT is the third brand of WWE. And seemingly this year, the WWE main roster has kind of been making it a point that that is not the case, because Survivor Series the year before, NXT was involved, and NXT won. This year, NXT was nowhere near Survivor Series. Now, obviously, that was because of the whole pandemic thing. They wanted to keep the main roster people away from the NXT people because of risk for spread of COVID. Obviously, there have been stories and allegations about, like, NXT talents and coaches and stuff like that not going through guidelines and ended up getting people sick at parties and stuff like that. So that's why they didn't have them involved at Survivor Series. So that is what I would assume would be part of the reason why they've introduced these new tag team titles. It's also because, like, NXT's women's division is now super stacked. They've got a lot of new women that have come in, just like Priscilla Kelly, Taya Valkyrie. Who was the new girl that they just added in? She just faced freaking Io Shirai last week. I can't remember. You got Mercedes Martinez that came back a little while ago. Toni Storm, obviously. Ember Moon. All these people. Indy Hartwell, who's been on TV a lot more. All these women, and you need another. I guess it does make sense that you would add these tag team titles because there are a lot of teams now on NXT for the women's division. A heck of a lot more than on the main roster, and better tag teams, I would say, than on the main roster. It just doesn't make sense. Like, why add another championship? Like, it's a lot of people's critique of WWE nowadays is that there are way too many championships. And especially tag team titles. Like, you've got the Raw tag team titles, you got the SmackDown tag team titles, you got the NXT tag team titles, you got the women's tag team titles, you got the NXT UK tag team titles, you got the women's NXT tag team titles. How long is it until they introduce NXT UK women's tag team titles, or NXT UK women's cruiserweight tag team titles 24/7 stuff? You know, there's just a lot of championships, and it's a lot to keep track of. If they wanted to have the women's division in NXT have tag team titles, why not just have Raquel or Raquel and Dakota Kai win the titles from Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax? They don't do much with them on Raw and SmackDown. Like, they remember them, like, every now and then and do something important with them. And even then, the importance kind of varies. So, if anything, I would have just liked them to just win the titles last week. And instead, they ended up doing this. But, I mean, I still have faith that the titles are going to be used a heck of a lot better than the WWE tag team titles. However, this was something that I saw when I was scrolling through Twitter. However, Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai did not hold the titles for very long because they had their first title defense on this episode of NXT, and they immediately lost them to Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart. I haven't watched the match to see how it went down, but seeing some of the screenshots, it looked like Raquel Gonzalez was pretty ticked off, so I'm assuming Dakota Kai ate the pin, which makes sense. The only way that I can see this going about is Raquel Gonzalez gets pissed off at Dakota Kai, she cuts herself off from Dakota Kai, and Raquel goes after Io Shirai in the Women's Championship, because obviously Raquel Gonzalez pinned Io back at War Games. She has a pinfall victory over her. She's obviously the new big bad in NXT's women's division, so obviously she should go after the championship. And I don't know what happens to Dakota Kai. Maybe she stays around in NXT for a little bit. Maybe she goes to either Raw or SmackDown after WrestleMania. We'll find out. And as for Shotzi and Ember, really cool tag team. I think their styles mesh really well. After them winning the tag team titles, we got a little backstage segment with them getting congratulated. And then the people that they're getting booed at by are Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. So I would assume that that is going to be the title match at one of these takeover nights. I would assume night one. I would assume they would want to get some get some eyes on the first night of the TakeOver event, and what better way to do that in the main event than to have the NXT Women's Tag Team titles defended. You know, already in like 1 month or so, they've already made them seem more important than the Women's Tag Team titles on WWE, which I'm very excited to see. But yeah, it's just very confusing why they would introduce more belts when they could have just had the ones that are meant to float from brand to brand on NXT. But, you know, everything has to be complicated when it comes to WWE, even when it's great stuff like NXT. But yeah, that was from this episode of NXT on Wednesday. But will that be the case after WrestleMania? Because there are rumors going around that NXT is moving to Tuesdays. And I think that is just great. That is awesome. NXT moving to Tuesdays sounds awesome. Because one of the biggest problems I've been having ever since NXT and AEW Dynamite were on the same day was, which do I watch? And I ultimately came up with the solution that I watch AEW live, and then in the morning I watch NXT. So I go to bed after watching some really great wrestling, and then I wake up in the morning, I eat my breakfast, and I get to watch some really great wrestling. So it's a win-win for me. And then I watch Impact Wrestling and some NWA stuff, which unfortunately all the videos got deleted, so I was trying to catch up on it, and then I kind of got cut off halfway through, which is a big bummer. But nevertheless, NXT on Tuesdays I think is a really great move because, you know, I'm sure a lot of wrestling fans are like that right now on Wednesdays, the level-headed ones, where they're just like, I want to watch both, I want to enjoy both, but they're both on at the same time. What do I do? With NXT potentially moving to Tuesdays, which a lot of people are saying is basically true, with it moving to Tuesdays, I think it's going to be great for NXT. I think it's going to be great for AEW, and I think this whole Wednesday Night War thing can finally be put to bed, and we can just enjoy a lot of wrestling. Now the only question is, on Tuesdays, what do I watch? Do I watch NXT, or do I watch Impact Wrestling? Oh, the decisions. Well, I watch Impact Wrestling on Twitch, so odds are I can probably watch them both at the same time. So I'll have Impact Wrestling on Twitch, and then I'll have NXT on my TV. So I'm okay with doing that kind of way of watching both shows. So yeah, let me know in the comment section below, which show will you be watching, Impact Wrestling or NXT? What do you think of NXT potentially moving to Tuesday? What do you think of the new TakeOver event? And what do you think of the NXT Women's Tag Team titles? Let me know in the comment section below. Other than that, I've been Jacob, your one and only WrestleDude. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to follow me on all social media. The links for that are in the description of the video. And I will see you guys at the next TakeOver event, NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver, for our official Talking Takeover review.